Just about everyone makes a soundbar these days, and that's kind of a problem. Too many choices from unfamiliar brands. Polk, however, has been a trusted name in audio for a while, so when I learned they had an affordable soundbar with Amazon's you-know-who built in, I felt like I had to check it out. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and today we're going to check out the new Polk React Soundbar. It's a slim soundbar that promises bold sound for its size, including virtual surround effects and the ability to pair with an optional wireless sub and/or surround speakers, which we also happen to have around. We'll check out the soundbar on its own, then add in the sub, then add in the surrounds and see what we think is the best combo for the money. And I promise you, I will do my best to avoid saying the Amazon A word. You know what I'm talking about. Let's do this. Before I jump in, have you ever bought an electronics product from a brand you didn't know and been like really disappointed? Tell me about that in the comments. And while you're down there, please click like and subscribe because we need the help growing this channel. And as always, we have shopping links to the products you'll see in this video in case you want to support us that way. Thanks for caring. Let's get into it. So out of the box with the soundbar comes a power cord, batteries, keyhole bumpers, a remote control, HDMI, and optical cable. Around the back, you have a power port, USB port, HDMI input, and optical input. And then there's the connect button for bringing in surround speakers or a subwoofer. Speaking of the sub, here it is. And it's a respectable mate for a soundbar. It's not particularly heavy, but it's not the toy-like lightweight sub I've experienced with other soundbars. It too has a connect button, and at the bottom you'll find a 6-inch driver, which feels quality, though not particularly robust, and a port right next to it. I like the matte finish too, it's nice. The surrounds are sort of an unconventional shape, but they have a nice weight to them as well. I like that there's a threaded insert for easy wall mounting too. Getting things hooked up is relatively easy. I mean, setup on paper looks like a piece of cake, but we ran into some bumps on the road. Connections are super simple. Plug in your power cable and your HDMI cable into the back of the soundbar, run that HDMI cable to your TV's HDMI ARC port, and you're good to go. And you can use optical if you don't have HDMI ARC. From there, you can start listening right away. But if you want to use this as an Amazon smart speaker, then you'll need to pop up the you-know-who app on your phone or tablet, add a device, snap a pic of the QR code on the back of the soundbar, and wait. Now, in my experience, the app told me the process failed, and I don't see the device in my app, but the speaker told me it connected just fine, so I decided to run with it. That's all you need to do for the soundbar, but if you want to add a sub and speakers, you are supposed to just plug them in, press the connect button on the back of the bar, and then go press and hold the connect button on the back of the speakers or sub you want to add for about 3 seconds. Now, in my case, the sub automatically paired. I didn't have to do anything. With the speakers, I had to try to pair them a couple of times before I was successful. So keep at it. Sometimes simple can get complicated. Now, let's focus on the soundbar for a moment. First, I like the way it looks. Well, most of it anyway. It's the charcoal wraparound grill cloth that I really like. The soundbar is literally built around you-know-who, and there's what looks like an old Echo speaker interface right smack in the top center. I could do without that, but you kind of need it. And while we're here, I should point out that you can mute the microphone on the speaker if you don't like the always listening idea, but still access the smart assistant using the remote control. Speaking of the remote, I like that it's a full functioning remote with controls for bass and vocal clarity right next to the volume, 4 different sound modes you can access, and then there's a control for the volume and balance of the surround speakers. The front of the soundbar has a pretty rudimentary display. When the assistant is listening, a big blue bar lights up. Indicators for volume, bass, vocal clarity are pretty basic. Okay, so how does it sound? Frankly, I'm impressed. I mean, where do I start? Let's start with the bass. It's more present than I was expecting, and there's even a little bit of rumble that you can sense, so you aren't just hearing some low-end tones, you actually feel something. And that's with the bass in the neutral position. You can juice up the low end quite a bit by turning it up. I wouldn't go too far though, because then the bass is just way out of balance with everything else. Dialogue clarity and the mid-range in general is right where I like it. It doesn't sound boxy or chesty, everything comes through sounding natural. I noticed this was particularly true when listening to music, which I'll touch on more in a moment. As for treble, it's about as refined as I've heard in any soundbar under $500, let alone one at this price point. You get plenty of snap and sizzle without the highs getting too aggressive. It's not laid back by any means, but it is reserved enough to keep your ears from ringing. No rasp, no sibilance, it's just right for me. So the fidelity is good, but just as impressive is the soundstage. It's super wide. I was hearing sounds coming from well beyond the edges of the TV, and occasionally effects came swooping in from the far left or right side of the room, giving the soundbar a very big feel. It doesn't sacrifice fidelity for virtual surround, which I appreciate. But that also means that the virtual surround sound really does more to widen the soundstage and make it sound like a big speaker system than it does make it seem as if stuff is going on behind you. And I am 100% good with that. As decent as the bass is with the soundbar alone, the addition of the React subwoofer made a big improvement overall. The sub is a little hot at its default level, so I had to turn it down. Otherwise, it was just a rumble fest for movies and a little heavy-handed in music. But once I dialed it in, I found it was a really nice addition. It added some desired impact to blockbuster action flicks for sure, but you don't really need it for less bombastic movie watching. Another good point on the subwoofer is that it blends really well with the soundbar, so I never felt like I was hearing booming voices coming from the subwoofer. It's just a really good matchmaking in general. As for the surround speakers, I kind of have mixed feelings about them. I mean, they certainly brought some surround effects to the mix, but I feel like I had to turn them up a lot in order to really get much out of them. And I also felt like they were engaging a lot less than I'm used to with other surround soundbar systems. So like I said, mixed feelings. Good news is they're really inexpensive, so you can always check them out and see how you feel yourself. One of the Polk React Soundbar's added bonuses is that it actually sounds really good for music. And that's a good thing because I see people streaming music using Amazon's A-Word more than just having the convenience of using it to get the weather forecast or turn on a smart light or whatever. The fidelity and the soundstage really do music some justice. So if that's a priority for you, know that I don't think you'll be disappointed at all with the Polk React, and that's with or without a subwoofer. So I think this soundbar on its own is a pretty tremendous value. Even if it didn't have Amazon's Assistant baked in, I would still feel that way. On its own, the Polk React is a solid soundbar choice. Add in a sub and you'll get that deep seat rumbling bass you want for movies and music as well. As for the surrounds, I probably wouldn't bother myself, and that's really because the soundbar offers such a wide soundstage that I don't think I would miss it. But you know what? I'll let you make the call on that for yourself. Just don't sleep on this soundbar. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. What do you think? Gonna give this soundbar a shot yourself? Let me know about it in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and here's 2 other videos I think you'll like.